Hello students, welcome to my lesson of today. It is about business documents that are used in home trade. And yesterday we looked at documents used in home trade at an inquiry stage. So today we are looking at the second stage, which is order stage. An order stage. At order stage, documents involved are order notes, acknowledgement notes, and pro forma invoice. Let us look each by each. What is an order note? An order note is a document that is sent by the buyer to the seller requesting him to supply goods. Like me as a buyer, I can write an order note requesting a given supplier or a seller to supply goods. And there are two categories of this order note. We have one which is called local purchase order. This is an order issued for goods. We have another one called local service order, an order that is issued for services. And therefore, there are several ways of making order. What are some of the ways of making order? One is filling an order form. Fill what? An order form. You fill an order form. Number two is writing an order. This is where the buyer is writing the order of the goods or of the items that he wants the seller to deliver or to supply. And the number three is about FAPO order. FAPO order is where the buyer presents himself or herself to the seller and use the word of mouth to communicate to the seller the type of goods that he or she wants to be supplied with. And it's good to note that it's not good to write, it's not good to use FAPO order because there is no accountability. There is no reference that can be made. So most of businesses, we prefer that they use what we call written order or fill order form because there is reference that can be made and there is what we call accountability. Now we look at what we call content found in the order note. What are the content that are found in the order note? One of it is the address of the buyer and the seller. Address of the buyer and the seller. Number two, we have number of order. For example, the order is written 056. You can write here 056 at the top of the machine. And number three is what we call quantity to be supplied. Quantity means 30 books, 40 books, 80 books, 100 books. Those are what we call the quantity. And we have what we call descriptions of goods being ordered. For example, when I'm saying description, I mean that if I need 10 books, I need 10 books of which type? I need 10 books KLB Mathematics Form 1, or I need 30 books of Inventor Business Studies Form 1. That's what we call description of goods. And after that, we have the third stage. We have the third stage of business transaction, which is delivery stage. At the delivery stage, most of these documents are issued by the seller. So most of these documents at this delivery stage are issued by the seller. And what are these documents? One we have is advice notes. Number two, we have delivery notes and consignment notes, packing notes, good received notes. We want to look each of them. What does it mean? What is the advice note? An advice note, it is a document. You can see it's a document sent by the seller to the buyer informing him that the goods have been dispatched or are on the way. So it's like it's advising the seller, the buyer, that goods are on what? Are on the way, so that the buyer does not panic. Or does not have to have fear that the goods have not been delivered. So the seller sends what we call advice notes, advising the buyer that goods have been dispatched or are on the way. And what does the advice note contains? The advice note contains the means of delivery, the number of units that are supplied, and also what we call description of goods that are being dispatched. And this advice note, it is sent using the fastest means possible. So it is sent, it reaches earlier before the goods are arrived. We have another one called delivery notes. What is a delivery note? A delivery note, this is a document which is sent by the seller to the buyer, accompanying goods. And remember that the delivery note is made in 3 copies. It's made in what? 3 copies. Delivery note is made in what? 3 copies. Meaning that the first copy remains with the seller, and the 2 copies goes with the 2 copies are sent together with the goods to the buyer. So once the buyer confirms that the goods are of the right quality and the quantity and the right descriptions, then the buyer has to sign. The buyer has to sign what you call the delivery note. Has to sign the delivery note. And therefore, it's very important for us to look what are the contents that are found in the delivery note. Contents that are found in the delivery note. Contents that are found in the delivery note. Content that are found in the delivery notes. Content number 1, it contains the date of delivery. So this is what we call date of delivery. And number 2, also we have what we call name and addresses. Name and addresses of both the buyer and the seller. Also it has the descriptions of goods that are being delivered, and also has what we call the signature. This is where the buyer has to sign. And also have said description. We have another document which is called a consignment note. A consignment note, this is a document that is sent by the seller to the buyer when he's using a means of what? Transport. Meaning that the seller may hire a means of what? Transport. And then in that case, he has to write a consignment note accompanying goods, so that even in case the driver is being asked, which goods are you carrying? Where are they going? So the driver or the person transporting the goods has to remove what we call a consignment note, and for him to be clarified or for verification purposes. We have another one called packing note. What's a packing note? A packing note, this is a document that is sent by the seller to the buyer accompanying goods. It's accompanying goods. Packing notes, accompanying goods. And the reason why it's accompanying goods, it's because the buyer is going to do what we call counter checking. And it is good for us to know that the packing notes has does not contain the price of goods. Does not contain the prices of goods. Why this packing note does not contain the prices of goods? It's because in case of theft on the way, the person who is transporting goods could not able to know the prices of goods or the quantity and the prices of goods. So it only contains the quantity of goods, the date of delivery, and descriptions of goods that are being transported. And also we have what we call goods received note. So after the buyer has received the goods in the right order and quantity and descriptions, the buyer writes what we call goods received note. Goods received note. Goods received note. So it's a document written by the buyer to the seller, informing him that the goods has been received and are of the right quantity Just sometimes, in case the goods are not of the right descriptions or quantity, what happens? In this case, the buyer writes what we call goods return note. Goods return what? Note. Goods return note. So what's a good return note? This is a document which is written by the buyer to the seller, informing him that the goods delivered are not of the right quantity, and And what is the purpose of goods return note? What is the purpose of goods return note? One of the reasons for goods return note is that in case goods were damaged, on the way, yeah, you might find some goods were damaged on the way. So as a buyer, you have not to receive such goods. You have to write a good return note, and the goods can be returned back to the seller. Number two, why we have to write a good return note if goods are not of the right quantity, Maybe the goods you wanted, they were 50 books. Now you will find only 30 books. So they are not of the, you cannot, because you have already paid them. So you have to write good return note. And number three is when the goods were in excess. When the goods are what? In excess. When maybe you were supplied with excess goods. When you are supplied with excess goods, then you have to write a good return. No, thank you for listening to my lesson. Next time we'll talk about the fourth stage, which is called the invoice stage.